All right, please confirm if you can hear me. I think you should be able to hear me, right?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so
Yes, I can hear you.
good evening once again. Uh,
Thank you.
Welcome to Digitech Zeal. This is cyber security live training session. We have been on the journey on the Windows security feature. You can still remember we are still discussing Windows security features. And when we say Windows security feature, we are talking about the built-in settings that can be programmed to secure our system from cyber attack or any form of attack at all. If I can remember, I know our last section we discussed BitLocker, right? Please, if you can respond just to confirm. We talk about BitLocker, right? Are you with me? We
Yes,
talk about
yes, sir.
we talk about BitLocker, and we define BitLocker as one of the new introduced Windows security feature, which is mainly used for data encryption. That is, you can use it to lock up files or data within a drive. And in the process of understanding or trying to understand how to bitlock or how to encrypt data in a drive, we expanded that topic to learning how to partition the drive. And where I remember I told us the reason why we have to go to that length, because I wanted us in a situation whereby where you are given a system and the drive is already in use. How do you compress all the content in that drive to one side and be able to? All right, I hope you are still with me.
Hello.
The network is a bit
Yeah.
stable. Okay. I believe with time it will be stable. So I'm only trying to recap the essence of the BitLocker. Why should we know how to
Yeah.
BitLock our drive? Is one of the major Windows security aspects that we must know, because it is one of our responsibility as cybersecurity professionals to ensure that data within the system are also secure, like we established at the beginning. It is our responsibility to ensure that the network in which our system is using to interact, or in fact, all the devices that are used to interact with the internet, it is in our responsibility to ensure that they are all secure while they are interacting with the internet. All right, so like I was trying to establish, we extended that particular class beyond just bit locking a drive.
Yeah.
We also look at how to partition a drive in order for us to secure some empty space, which we can now transfer the company's sensitive data into, and then finally before you BitLock. So I think we are still on Windows security features. I just have few of them to conclude in this session. Once we are done with exploring most or all the Windows security features, we can now move to the ethical hacking or penetration testing aspect. But for now, we are still exploring different tools, different functions, different features that we can leverage on to ensure the security of our system. So tonight we are looking at one of the technology which is also used to ensure system security, which is called Windows Secure Boot. Windows Secure Boot. So my focus tonight is actually on two different topics. So after this topic, we'll also see how you can use system user accounts to secure your system as well. So let's look at what is Windows Secure Boot as one of the Windows Security Plus or Windows Security feature rather. So by definition, just as you can see it on the screen, a Windows Secure Boot is a security feature built into modern computers. So emphasis built on modern computers. So for those of us that are using outdated computer, we should not expect this particular feature to be there. All right, so peradventure you have it, you may not be able to implement it. Just like the Hello security, which is the one that recognizes our face, which I told us that except you have a system that matches that requirement, in other words, you have a laptop that the camera, the web camera is configured to be able to implement that, you will not be able to implement it. So the advice I give to us in that session is that all these features that we are exploring, you may not be able to deploy all of them depending on your system compatibility. But definitely we have some basic that are always there for almost every standard of system. So the Windows Secure Boot falls under the new introduced technology, and that is why it is recommended that you can only find it within new system. So let's look at the full definition. So I said Windows Secure Boot is a security feature built into modern computers that helps protect your PC, which means your personal computer, from malware. At this point, we have already understood what malware is from the very first class. So just to emphasize a little, we did establish that malware, they are suspicious, or they are what? Yeah, let's say they are suspicious softwares that can be used to exploit or to take advantage of system, right? So malware, an example of it could be virus, could be Trojan, could be which other one again, worm, and the rest of them, so that we know what exactly we are using this particular feature to protect our system from. So you can see that I still make reference to protecting your PC from malware and unauthorized software during the startup process. Now, that is the emphasis. At what point this particular technology can secure your system? You know, your system, before it is ready for usage, it must have gone through 3 stages. And the idea of this technology is that there was a discovery that shows that there are some malware or some form of attack that happen to a system at the point of booting. Because most of us prioritize the security of our Windows after the window is fully initialized. So there are some malware that try to quickly find yourself in the process of still preparing the window, which is booting. So this particular technology was now put in place, was introduced to make sure that even at that level of your system booting or preparing itself, the system can still be secure. That is why you are hearing the word boot there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's analyze this further. I said startup process at that point where your system is starting, which is usually referred to as booting. That is when this particular feature will be active to ensure that you are able to contain the intruders. So it ensures that only trusted and digitally signed software is allowed to load when the computer boots. I hope you are with me.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. And I also believe you understand what I'm explaining, right?
Yes.
Okay. So let's understand that. Now, let's take it to the next level. We are still trying to break it down. Now, there is a requirement. Your computer must have a particular configuration or technology. And that is why I said this is a new introduced security feature in newer system, which means that how do I know if my computer has or can implement Windows Secure Boot feature? Look at it here. Secure Boot is a feature of UEFI, which means Unified Extensible Firmware Interface. And what does that mean? Firmware and is designed to prevent bootkit, rootkit. We're talking about the very startup interface of your system and other malicious software from taking control of the computer before, can you see the emphasis now? Before the window starts. So this is the security that is ensured before the Windows starts. I hope that is clear.
Yes.
Okay. So now let's look at some simple explanation, because I'm going to show us in a moment how you can actually check whether your system has this technology. If it doesn't have it, then you just have to adopt other security measures. So imagine your computer is a secure building. So we are trying to, I'm trying to break it down in a way that you understand. So here we are looking at it as a secure building. So the UEFI firmware is the secure guard. When we have a secure building, probably you have secure guard. Maybe you have a first person, or you have security guard, securing the building. In fact, that is why you have the God to say that your building is secure, because you have somebody mounting the gates. So before anybody enters that house, the security personnel must have checked the person at the point of entry. That is what we are trying to picture here. So every program trying to enter during startup must show an approved ID, which means digital signature. You see, most of the softwares that we use in this part of the world, they are crack version. And that is the reason why That is the reason why once you set up technology like this, almost all of them will be seen as threats because they are not legit, they are not licensed. And that's why they are called what? The crack version. If you go to developed world, which is the major target of this unethical hacker, they don't take the risks that we are taking here. The reason why, to an extent, we are safe, it is because nobody is even interested in hacking our system because they feel we don't have any resources within our system. But somebody living in US cannot afford to use the kind of unlicensed softwares we are using because they are developed world and everybody, both the bad guys, are watching, looking for loopholes to break into their system. So every program trying to enter during startup must show an approved ID, which means what? The digital what? Signature. So if the ID is valid, I'm trying to conceptualize it for you to know how it works. How does it assess all the software that try to come in at the point of what? Booting. So it will verify their ID. Once they are legit, then it was, like as you can see here, if the ID is valid, the program is allowed in. If the ID is fake or missing or something is missing, because most time there is a software called .NET. That .NET is what spy for all the vendors. Is what send a message to the owner of the software, whether the person is using a trial version or a licensed version. And it is the one that ensures that that particular software does not exceed the 30 days trial opportunity you are given. So once the 30 days expire, the .NET send a message to the what? To the vendor and say this person have used the 30 days what? Privilege period. So now you can what? Block the person. So there is a .NET software that is always in every window and it has different version. If you are running Windows 11, the .NET version you could be using could be from 4.5. If you are running Windows 7, it's about 2.0, 2.5. If you are running Windows 10, it should be about 3.5. And that is why when you want to install some software like AutoCAD and the rest of them on a system that does not match the required .NET, it will insist that that particular version of .NET must be installed. Otherwise, you will not be allowed to install that application. The reason is that is the spy is the one that will be sending updates to the writer of the software. So that is why it's insisting, because if it allows you to go in, it means there won't be what? Communication between that software and the what? The programmer. I hope you are following.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if the ID is fake or missing, access is denied. This prevents attackers from inserting malicious software before Windows load. Now here, we need to ensure that we are not just learning these features just for understanding's sake. We are cyber security professionals. Whatever feature we are picking per time, there is a reason why we are learning it, because we are going to use them or leverage on them to ensure that the system is properly what? Secure. So what we are saying here is that we need to also understand the ways of the bad guys, so that if you don't lock this door, if you don't implement any of these Windows security feature we are discussing, it means your door is open, just like giving them an express for them to what? To launch attack. So what we are saying is that this is part of the activities of those unethical what? Hackers. So what did they do? They try to send some malicious information into your system just to compromise the security architecture of that system. So once the sensors and you do not have a strong defensive structure in place, then you have automatically granted them what? Access. And that is the reason why we are taking this feature one after the other. So once you are employed tomorrow, you implement the ones that are implementable based on that system standard. I hope we are still together. So let's quickly look at some of this.
Yeah.
Let's look at some of the ways it works. How does this security feature works? Now, once you power on your computer, once you press the power button, the UEFI firmware starts. So there is no space for any hacker or attacker to quickly enter. There's no way. The moment you press the power button, it starts it works. That's what we are saying. Then the UEFI firmware starts. Then the UEFI check the digital signature of the boot manager. So you need to understand what is called boot manager. Boot manager is like an application that holds all the booting devices. Now we refer to them as booting sequence. Now, when you are trying to format your system with disks, if you connect a flash drive, if the installation software is in your flash drive, you will have to select the flash drive from your boot manager, because the boot manager will list the available drive. The boot manager will tell you that you have HDD or SDD. The boot manager will tell you that you have a removable disk, which is flash drive. The boot manager can tell you that you have CD-ROM as compact disc, right? That is, or DVD.
Yeah.
Now, from there, you know where the installation software is, so you choose it. So what I'm trying to pick here is that the boot manager assemble or list out the name of active drive within your system. All right, because once you on your system, your computer must boot from one of the drive. And the drive that the computer usually boot from when you are not formatting is called the local drive. Otherwise, or which we also call a fixed drive. Why? Because that is where the Microsoft window is. And the Microsoft window is the collection of all the functions which the computer uses to initialize itself, to prepare itself for usage. So the moment you press the power button, the computer will consult the drive, which is a local drive, where the window is, in order to start the computer. So when it couldn't find it, that is when you see messages like disk not found. So when you see somebody's laptop showing disk not found, there are several things that could lead to it. The first thing you suspect is that the drive is missing. So most time when you lose, maybe the process of the person running or using a very big bag to carry laptop, and the laptop is busy shaking while the person is working, the drive must have shifted. So what we normally do is that we open the bag, wherever the drive is, then you notice that it must have shifted from the contact point. So what we do is we just push it in. And most time, the engineer will tell you that they have serviced it, you pay them for it if you are not there when they are doing that, most of them. So what I'm trying to bring here now is that the boot manager is where you have all the drive. From there, you specify which of the drive the system should use to prepare itself. Where should the system call the Microsoft Windows from, which the computer uses in initializing or preparing the computer for using. I hope you are still following, sir.
Yes, I'm here.
So then So it's also check the bootloader, that is where it's coming from. Then, of course, also check the operating system. The operating system is your window 10, window 11, which is in one of those drives. Like I mentioned, local disks. Then it will also check the firmware drivers. I must have explained what we mean by driver. Driver are like pieces of software that are used to activate hardware. So every hardware that function, that respond within the computer has a driver that assign a command prompt. So though it is the window that assign a command prompt. All right, so that is the driver. Then if everything is trusted, let's say after examining all these 4 items, if all of them are trusted, right? That is, if it's able to find the digital what? A signature to prove that they are genuine, then the window continues to boot normally. But if an unsigned or modified file is detected, the system blocks it from running. So that is just to highlight how the boot sector works, because before we can actually show you how it works, though I will try to show you the window aspect, but normally you can check it from you can actually program it from your system BIOS. What we call BIOS is basic input and output system, which is also called sometimes the system word CMOS. If you must have heard somebody say CMOS battery, it means that there is a bit called CMOS that the battery empower. Now, the CMOS is what we call the complementary metal-oxide semiconductor. That is like the internal aspect of your system, or the layer that stores all your system settings. Let me use that word, your configuration. All right, all your mouse can be turned off there, your keyboard can be controlled there, all the ports, the speaker. Most time when our speakers are not working, most time it's not hardware damage. It could be that in the CMOS, or which we are now referring to as the BIOS, maybe the battery is no longer retaining the update, so they must have what? Rolled back to off. And then what an engineer or a technician will do is to go to the BIOS and check whether it is turned on. So you might just go there and discover that it is turned off. So these are some of the things that we fix and then we earn money from, because ordinary computer user will never understand how to go to the what? To the BIOS. Now look at the diagrammatical structure of what goes on during the secure boot. Power on, like I highlighted there. Then it assesses before it starts, check digital signature, and then once the issue of trust is passed, then either yes or no, then the window boots, and then if no, then it will what? It will block the startup. So that is the structure of this secure boot. Now, what is the takeaway before we look at some of the ways how we can check whether our laptop support this UEFI? Now, secure boot is a UEFI security feature that verifies trusted software during startup. We must understand that. Another takeaway is that it helps protect against bootkit, rootkit, and other boot level malware. Then another takeaway is that it relies on digital signature to verify boot components. Another takeaway, another thing we must understand is that it works best alongside TPM and BitLocker. These are technology that are used to encrypt data. All right, so it works with them to strengthen device security. Then it is a key requirement for supported Windows 11 installation and is an important part of a layered window security strategy. All right, so these are some of the key takeaways here. So any questions so far before we look at some of the way we can check how we can set it up on our system?
No questions, sir.
Okay, so now so like the TPM that I mentioned here means trusted platform module. So it's the same thing with BitLocker, trusted platform module. Now, let's quickly look at how we can check our system, whether it has the UEFI. The first thing you are going to do is to come to your start button and type what system information. Just type what system information. So from the window angle, you can easily check whether this laptop has that compatibility before you think of even setting it up. So once you select your system information, then from this prompted environment, so let's check for something. You see your BIOS mode is on what? Legacy. Now, either your BIOS mode is on legacy or is on what? UEFI. You can check your laptop then and tell me what you have here. So you
My
must.
one have shut down, so I'm just using only phone now.
Okay, you are using phone. Okay, maybe later you take time to check. So once you come here, before you can even set up the boot, the secure boot, it must, your BIOS mode must not be legacy. All right, it must be set on what? That particular technology, which is what? UEFI. And for us to do that, we have to restart the system and enter the BIOS, which I may not be able to show us now because once I do that, it means I have restarted the system. So in this case, if your system is set on this, so from the BIOS, we can actually see it. Maybe what I will do, maybe tomorrow, I will just use my phone to record how to go to the BIOS to change the configuration from the legacy to the UEFI so that we can see it. But we just have to be very careful so that you don't tamper with the configuration there. I hope that is clear.
Yeah.
Okay. So, so that is for secure boot. So definitely, I have checked this, my laptop. It doesn't fall under that category for me to be able to implement it. So once you are able to access it within your system, all you need is just to set it up on the, let me check another thing again, you need to check. Once you have set it on, once it is programmed on that UEFI, you are going to see secure boots here. So all you need is just to turn it on. That is all. So once you are in that particular mode, you will see secure boot turn on. If it's not turned on, that is when you will now go to the BIOS to turn it on. Once you turn it on, that is all. So it starts its work. It doesn't have long process like other one. I hope that is clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now that will now shift our attention to the next topic, which is a user account. Though at the beginning we talk about this user account, but because we are starting the class all over, we need to revisit it to enable our brother that joined late to understand that you can actually ensure certain level of your system security by establishing user accounts. So we define user accounts as We define user accounts as a unique identity created on a computer. A unique identity created on a computer that allows an individual or individual to sign in, to access resources and use Windows according to the permissions, that's the keyword, assigned to that account. So in summary, technically, what we are saying is that it's a kind of giving someone access, ownership access within a system. That is what user account is. So two or more persons can own a system, one system. The only thing is that each of them needs to have their what? User account, such that we can all share the application installed in the computer, but some persons can modify the application. That is, some persons have the privilege of either deleting or adding more software, or even tampering with some important setting, while some do not have that access. So in a nutshell, what we are saying is that user account is an account that allow user to have a unique identity that allows him or her to access resources and somewhat window according to the permission. So you are the one that will set up the account. As a cybersecurity expert, you need to know the particular user so that you know the privileges you should assign. So a practical example, if I should pick a company, in the company, we have admin employees and we have the general ward staffs. So if you are setting up accounts on the admin computer as a cybersecurity expert, you should know the level of permission you should assign to that person based on the person's what? Role. And then if you are setting up this account on the general staff's system, you should also create some limitation so that the admin can checkmate them. All right. And that will now take us to understanding different types of users' accounts in a system. Now remember that we are learning all this in line with the security of the system. So why should a cybersecurity professional prioritize user account? Because it is one of the measures that can be put in place to checkmate who accesses resources within the system. It is part of the measure that can be put in place to deny some persons access to the system resources. In as much you are denying people access, there is a reason. It means you must have cited some important data within that system that you are trying to secure. So you cannot see how you are actually looking at it from the security angle. All right, so that people don't just have access. It's just like your house. You give key to some persons and you don't give key to others, because you are trying to make sure that you must have analyzed and see that, oh, this person should not have access to this. This one shouldn't have access. So one of the ways you do that is what? Is by granting access and not granting what? Access. I hope you are following. So let's just quickly run through some of the important why user accounts are important. Why user accounts are important. Number one, to protect personal file. It's part of what I've explained. Number two, to restrict unauthorized access. I've also explained that. Number three, to separate users' data. You see, they can all have access to the application. For example, we have Microsoft Word. All of them have the privilege of using it. But one of them will have the privilege of what? On installing it, while the other one does not. Now, their respective files within their account will not be accessible what to all, except they have a common place where they store it, like in the drive, and that particular folder is shared. And that is what will make it what available for everybody to see. So another reason why user account is important is that it helps us to control software installation. All right. So if you create a standard account for someone, you have automatically limited the person from installing software. So if you create an administrator account for someone, it means that person have what? Full control over that system. He can uninstall, he can install. So the next one is that it improves accountability. It's also wrapped in what I've explained. So we can now ask if anything happened in a particular system, we have someone we can hold responsible. So let's quickly look at types of administrator account, types of administrator, types of user account. So we have number one account is what? Administrator account. So how do we define administrator account? So administrator account is an account that has full control over the computer. It's an account that has full control over the computer. I have already highlighted that. An administrator user account can what? Delete other person's file because like it's the owner of the what? The house. So permissions that he or she has are install software, remove software, create users. He can create other users. He can even delete users. For example, now if an employee leaves the company, the administrator account can delete the person since the person is no longer with them. They can change security settings and then, of course, access all files within the system. So you can see the whole privileges an administrator account has. An example, a practical example in a company could be an ICT administrator managing all computer in a school. That person should be given what? Administrator account, because it's the one managing the computer in the school. All the resources are within his or her control. So another type of account, before we look at some of the practical steps on how to set up these two accounts, in case you are employed anywhere and you come in, you are trying to make sure that you structure everywhere to ensure that there's security. You can start by implementing user accounts as a way of, denying some persons access to sensitive information. So the second type of user account, what we call standard user account. So how do we define this one? A standard user account has limited. A standard user account or user has limited permissions and cannot make major system changes without the consent of the administrator. So let's say as a general employee, let's say the cleaner, let's say other lower staffs, right? And you as an administrator, you assign account to them. Account like standard account. That is what you give to them, not administrator, because they are not administering anything. All right. So what we are saying is that once you do that, they will not be able to delete anything without you knowing. So even if they try to delete anything from their own account, there will be a message that will be prompted while they are still in their account that will be seeking the consent of the administrator, which means that it will be asking for an administrator login password. So why it is programmed that way is that, yeah, there could be a time where an administrator tried to delete file from the standard account owner. So in that case, he should prove that he's the one doing that. And that is why you see the system will always refer you that if the administrator is aware that you are removing this software, enter the password that he assigned. So once you prove that you have that password, once you prove that by entering the administrator password, then it will allow you to delete it while you are in your account. Let's look at some of the permission a standard user account has. One, use installed application. So you can use installed application. So in other words, who installed it? The administrator. I hope you are still with me, sir. I hope you are still with me. Hello, hope you are still here. So I believe you are still here. So another permission he or she has is browse the internet. So you can browse the internet. It's not limited when it comes to surfing the internet. Create personal file. You can create personal file. Actually, it does not have that limitation, but it cannot install most software. It cannot modify important settings within the system. So you can see a lot of what restriction accrued to that what particular account type. So now that we have established these two major types, we have the one we call the guest account. We have the Microsoft account. For those who are for you to create Microsoft account is just like you are creating a cloud account that will require creating with your email. Which means it allows you to access your Google OneDrive, which is known as what? Cloud, on any system. So, but our focus is on these two local accounts, what makes them local? Because they exist only within your system. Once you leave that system, they do not exist. Are we together? Just want to confirm again if you are here. All right. So now we want to look at the steps. How do we set up an administrator account? The first thing I'm going to teach us is how do I even know the current type of account my system is running? How do I know whether when I purchase a system and it's being handed over to me, do I even know the type of account that has been established? These are some of the things that some people don't know. Because when you are running a standard account and you store sensitive information there, then it means somebody can easily access them. But when you are running administrator, if somebody try to launch attack, trying to break into your system, that person will be asked to input the password. Then from there, if you cannot provide it, then he or she will be back up. Now, to check, that's the first thing I want to show us. How do I check whether my system is using or is running administrator account or is running standard user account? That's the first thing we want to check. So to check that, you click on what? The start button. You go to your settings. So from your setting, you are to navigate towards user account. All right. So from here, what we are going to do, we are going to go to control panel. So just click here, type control panel. Once you can see your control panel, and then we are going to navigate to user account. So from user account, we should be able to see, if I click on user account here, to show me the list of accounts on this system. Now, you can see it here. This is the account I have on this system. And you can see that the type is what? Administrator. So you can actually create a new one, like I'm going to show you now. Then you can change. In fact, let's assume that this system was configured to be administrator, and I want to switch it to what? Standard account. All I need to do is just to change what? Account type. So once you click on change account type, you can see the both of them here. You have the standard, you have the what? The administrator, and a brief description is attached to both of them. And once you have found out that, you can now move, and then once you have selected the type you want, or you are switching to, then you click here. So, but I don't want to change this. The next thing I'm going to show us is that how do we create this account? How do we create this account? Supposing you are employed and you want to create an account for someone else, probably was standard account. So how are you going to go about it? So we are going to go back to that word control panel. Then from control panel, you are navigating to that same word account. Now, the command we are looking for is create new or add new account. But unfortunately, we can't find it here. So I will do as if I want to remove an account because from there I will find it. So you cannot see it here. But if you are lucky based on your Windows structure, as soon as you click on user account and you're able to find add a new account, you go ahead. So let's say you want to create a new account, you click on it. And once you click, you can see the interface that is prompted and it's asking us to what? Let's look at it there. We have local account category, we have other account. So under local account, we have sign in with a Microsoft account to see. So if I want to use that, then I can go through this, but I'm going to use what? Add what? Other account. So I can just click here. And then when it prompts me this interface, when it prompts me the interface, then from there I'll be able to proceed. So let's hold up for it. Okay. So as you can see here, so it prompted us to an interface where we should create the account with Microsoft detail. But I'm going to say, no, I don't have this. I don't have what? This personal signed in. So once I click here, it will redirect me to what? To the one I can create locally. But even I have Microsoft account, then I will just continue. So you just come here and say what? Add a user without Microsoft. If you have Microsoft account or you have a Gmail account, you can type it, that will lead you to where you enter your password. So the advantage of this one is that you can log in to your content even outside this particular system. So I'm going with this so that we can see the end of it. So it's asking you to input the name of who is going to use the spaces. So let me just say user. Then password, I will just create. You can actually create that password. So if you like, you can set up the account before you assign what? A password. Or at the point where you are creating it, you can as well what? Add your password. So in this case, most time, I think I should go the way of adding password after creating it, so that in case you find yourself in a place where they have already set up the account, which means you're only coming in to password it, you will understand how to go about it. So if I click on next now, which means that I'm not passwording at the moment, I have added what? The account. So the next thing I'm going to teach us now is that how do we now switch from one account to another? How do I switch from that particular account? Let's say the user, because I have logged in now as the administrator, right? Now the user comes in, he wants to log in. He should access the system under my account. So he should know how to switch from an account to his or her account. That's the next thing we want to look at. So you click on this start button, you will see your user icon here. Tap on it, you will see the list of accounts available. So where your own system, you are not able to see this, you will see like more. You click on that more to drop down the list of what available account. But right now I'm in what? Aguero, so I want to switch to what? User. So I'll just click here in environment. So just hold on. And now you can see that we have the two accounts here. I have user, I have Aguero. So I'm going to user, and then since I did not assign a password, once I click on sign in, it will just take me in. So it is possible.
I can't hear your audio. I can't hear your audio.
back. So that is how you can switch from one account to what another. So we need to understand all this. Mr. Chris, are you still here?
Yeah, I wasn't hearing you at the point now.
Yes, because I think at that point I was switching to the other account. All right. So
Yeah.
now we have learned how to create a standard account. Now I want to show us how we can switch, because I need to go back and check this account that we created. Was it administrator or a standard account? So if it is standard account, one, I will show us how to change it to what administrator. Then two, we look at how to password, because we actually created it without passwording, just in case you get to an environment where they have already set up all the account. But the only thing is that the account has not been passworded. So you don't have to start creating. And that is why I have to suspend the passwording over there. So how do we get to do that? We go back to the control panel. We will go back to the control panel. So from the control panel, then we are going to the user again. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. So from here, we will now click on the manage. We click on this account. Now, once you click on that account, you are going to see some of this information here. This one is to change your account type. So now, for the first thing I'm going to do, I need to get to a place where I should be able to see all the available accounts, because right now I'm seeing only one. So I need to see all of them. So what I'm going to do is to click on what? Manage another account. That will enable me to see all the accounts that are running on the system, so that I can specify which one do I want to change, either from administrator to standard or from standard to administrator. As you can see here, this one is giving us some details that says password protected. This one does not have it because it's not yet passworded. Now, this is what user. So if I click here now, you click on it, then you are going to have access to all the functions that are attributed to each management. So from here, what do you want to do first? You can decide to say, okay, initially you name it user. You want to name it what? Want to change the name to probably the real person that is mounting the computer. So I can say, okay, I'm changing it to what? Student. All right. Once you do that, you click on what change. You discover that what you have been able to what to change that. The next one is that, okay, remember we did not create password. So now I want to create password. The password, first letter I can say, okay, I have my password. So you should know your password. Then now there is what we call password hint. Password what? Hint. Password hint is that particular word that once you remember it, it will help you to know the password you use. All right. So, and it must be different from the password letter. For example, now if you use Prosper, you cannot use Prosper as your hint. So you can just say, I'm just putting class. Once I say that is class, then click on what? Create password. So you can see that this particular feature is now added. I hope you are still following, sir.
Yes, I'm here.
So you can as well delete Talk about changing type. Okay, let's change the type. Let's say you can see that it is program on what? Standard. So I can upgrade it to what? Administrator. All these things are practical things that you will be asked to do as a technical what? Assistant, even though you don't want to function as a cybersecurity expert. Now, for example, the company have a staff and the staff has left. That staff was a user, was using user account or standard account. The new staff that replaced the old staff happen to be an admin member. You are going to, as a technical person, you are going to come here and switch the type, because it's no longer what standard account. That is why all these that we are learning are very important, even though not in cybersecurity practice. We are looking for all these office assistant, whatever. You will need to know some of these things. So I can just click, and then you can see that what we have been able to to change it from standard account to what administrator account. Then of course you can delete an account. Now, when you have too many accounts in your system, it can make your system to be slow, particularly if your system configuration is not high. Now, when it comes to deleting accounts, you might be asked to delete some account because those stuff do not exist anymore. So now, but there are information that they process and store under their account that the new or that the administrator will like to inherit. So when you are deleting, you have to pay attention to this place that says delete file or keep file. So it's better you say what? Keep file. Because if you say keep file, what will happen is that it will delete that account, and the folder of these accounts will be named student in the account that will be remaining on the system. So I can just say delete, and then I click. Now, why am I able to delete? Because I am now administrator. If I am not, it won't have been possible. So you can see that we have deleted it now. Now, if I go to desktop now, you will see a folder called students, which means if I want to access the file from that particular account that I deleted, I can always go to that folder to access them. You're trying to see if I can find it here. Students, that was the name of that account, right?
Yes.
That was the name. Should be able to find it either on desktop or in document. I just want to be sure that, okay, let me check from here. Just want to be sure that it's here. Good, you can see it. So if you click here now, let's say anytime you want to see that person's file, if you open that place, you now go to to the desktop, and then all the files. No, I don't think that this one is different from. Don't think it's this one. Let me go to document and check if we're going to find it there. But once you restart, you should be able to see it. I think to require restarting. Once you restart, if you can't find it, you are going to see a folder called student, which is the name of exactly of that account that you deleted. So once you open it, you now see desktop document. All the files that the person saves in documents, you access them there. All the files he saves in desktop, you access them there. So that is how to go about it. I hope it's clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Another thing again we need to learn. We are still going to close because I can't start a new topic. So now, another thing again is that how you can personalize your account. You can see that it's showing this user icon, not your image. So you click on it, and then you can go to change account setting. So let's see, once it brings you here, and then you click on take photo, or you want to choose from file. So I can take my photo directly here. Let me see. remove this out so I can just open the camera. But I hope it's able to open because I know I'm using the camera for Zoom. Let me see if it's still going to open. Okay, so you can see that what I hope it's not going to the front camera. So you can see that because Zoom is using it, that is why I'm not able to use it. I hope you are with me.
Yes, sir.
Because Zoom is using it, but if you are not on Zoom, you'll be able to what to access. So let me just upload from file. That is a picture that I have already saved within my system. Let me try and take a picture from there. That's one is to why it was going mixing like equal to this is a kind of notion. Let me check it.
Okay, continue without that. I understand because I've done that on my own.
Okay, okay. So, and that's actually the last thing I want to show us before we end the meeting. But here's something I want to end it from. Okay, so I hope you understand that. So it's very simple. Just click on change setting. So what you do is you will just choose this. Then you should have saved the picture somewhere. So let me go to let's go to picture. Let's say I go to picture. Let me expand here. So I have my picture. I have picture on desktop. Let me click one picture on desktop. Good. So I'll take this, choose a picture. So after some time, to update your picture. Okay, so that is how you can personalize system with you. So this is where we are going to stop. So what we have learned, I think, like I said, I'm going to do the BIOS video of how you can go to your system BIOS to check or to switch the configuration to support that secure boots. And once you can find it, how you can turn it on and how you can also turn it off. Then we have also learned how to manage system user accounts as one of the measures that can be put in place to secure our system resources. Do you have any question?
So far, no questions, sir.
Okay. All right. So we look forward to another topic in our next meeting. Look forward to a more advanced topic. Okay. So good night.
Good night, sir.